Oh, and they don't call it rosemary anymore. That's a shame. Yeah. Well, when I went there, every May we had an actual maypole. They put a maypole out for us.
We called it Rosemary Elementary in late 40s.
Did you go there?
Yes.
No kidding. Oh. Oh, it still looks the same. Uh-huh. I loved it. I loved school, you know, chiefly because I had a good memory, and I was somewhat of an apple polisher, you know. Yeah. What I actually learned, I don't know, but I was good at school. That shouldn't be funny.
Well, I always wonder about today's kids, you know, that it's so serious.
Well, it was serious. It was serious then. I mean, I think we had one teacher that threw chalk. And I thought it was serious, but I don't know what education's like now.
Mm-hmm.
I know that my daughter was allowed to use a computer in class, and I can't. No, it wasn't a computer; it's a calculator. So she doesn't know how to do long division or multiplication.
Mm-hmm.
So is that serious? You mean that kind of thing?
No. And you went to Leland Junior High.
Leland.
That's still here? No?
The old building was torn down, and there was a new building built at the other end of the block, and then that was torn down, and now where the old building was is the town hall of the town of Chevy Chase, and also the Lawton Center, which used to be known as the Leland.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Okay. Then I went to BCC, and I think they had some prefab buildings on the outside where we used to the overflow, as some of us were called. You know?
Yes.
Sounds like a toilet, doesn't it?
So you attended the overflow.
Yeah.
And you know, was there any folk music in the schools then?
No. I think the only folk music I ever heard was when there was a talent contest, and I put on an old top hat and a tuxedo and sang "My Father is a Drunkard." And I was so terrified, folks. I was so frightened that my legs were just going like this. And my classmates thought it was a hoot the way I was imitating a drunk person.
They didn't know it was accidental.
I didn't tell them. No, why should I? You know, take advantage of whatever happens to you.
I have one of those flashbacks of probably first grade, of singing folk songs in the parochial school I went to over in Arlington and playing the sticks.
Yeah, but you're a good decade younger than me.
Yeah.
So maybe they started using folk music more. I think it's wonderful to have it in school. As long as they allow it a certain amount of free flight, not trying to organize it too much.
Yeah. And you visited Glen Echo Park while you were here?
Oh, yeah. Every Sunday.
Every Sunday?
In the summer.
Well, of course, it was an amusement park at the time.
Yeah, I could still go on roller coasters then. I loved the roller coaster. Can't do it now. It kills me.
It was wooden. It rattled.
Mm-hmm.
I remember.
Yeah, I'm amazed that my father let us do that, because it did look dangerous. But they had a marvelous slide that went down into the swimming pool, too.
Crystal pool?
Yeah. Do they still have that? So what's that, Glen Echo?
A carousel?
I do. I loved it. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Right.
center.
Okay.
They have dances.
So it is a place where you go to enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They rehabbed that.
I was surprised, looking back on it, that my father took us there, because he was a bit of he was kind of, how to put it, not snobbish, but he just thought that was a little bit too proly, you know. But then my mother loved those kind of things, and we were children. It's the right place to take us, what? We children.
The attitude I'm picking up about your dad.
Yeah.
I mean, how was it that he ended up so involved with folk music?
I think he was probably interested more academically
Yeah.
than my mother. And that was also part of his job. He worked at the Pan American Union, liaising between Central America, Latin America, and North America on cultural matters. And he dealt with a number of folk musicians. And it was also, my mother was busy transcribing songs from the Library of Congress. She picked up the collectors, brought their collections back to the Library of Congress, and my mother took the records out, the great big 16-inch aluminum ones, you know.
Transcriptions.
And you played them with a thorn needle, which when it got dull, you just put it on something like one of those little sparkler things, and you fastened it on, and a piece of sandpaper would make it sharp again. Oh yeah, I mean, the way that we operated back then, in order to make photocopies for the nursery school that she did music for, Green Acres, which is still going. She brought folk music to Green Acres. That was what her contribution was to the cooperative school. So she had to have copies of the songs. So what she would do is she had trays of jelly. How many of you remember this at all? And that the jelly would harden, kind of, pretty well. Then you'd put your top copy down on it, face down, and it would make, the ink would go into the jelly. And then you would put blank pieces of paper on it and lift up blank pieces of paper on it. You know, when I look at the different formats, I was talking about that to my grandson, the different formats of recording and playing back recorded music in my lifetime, it's absolutely astounding. These big aluminum discs, and during the war there were cardboard discs of some of the miners' songs. Then they had the 78s, and then they had the LPs, and then they had the little 7-inchers. And what came next? Then they had wire recorders, and then they had, tell me if I miss anything, then they had analog tape, and then the analog tape got wider and wider and wider, so you could put 32 or any number of tracks on it.
And skinnier to become cassettes.
And then to cassettes. And then they had Betamax, and then they had DATs, and then they had, now we have CDs.
I have a house
all in one
full.
lifetime.
I have a house full. Everything but the wire.
Well, the wire was terrible sound, scratchy.
Yeah.
And
there is a guy who actually does those now.
wire recordings?
Wire recordings. You know, one-offs.
How wonderful.
Yeah.
How wonderful. We need such people.
Well, you and your mom transcribed the Lomax songs. Would you consider playing one of those for us?
Let's see. Playing one. You caught me there.
Oops.
What? I remember one that I'll play this for you, Sonia. I don't know that we transcribed this. I always loved fairy tales. Old Bangham did a hunting ride, darum, darum, darum. Old Bangham did a hunting ride, Kinniquaw. Old Bangham did a hunting ride, sword and pistol by his side, darum, Kinniquaw. He rode down to the riverside, darum, darum, darum. He rode down to the riverside, Kinniquaw. He rode down to the riverside, there a lovely maid he spied, darum, Kinniquaw. Fair maid, said he, will you marry me? Darum, darum, darum. Fair maid, said he, will you marry me, Kinniquaw? said he, will you marry me? Oh no, kind sir, we can't agree. Darum Kimmy Quo. He rode down the Lisabor in yonder wood. Darum, darum, darum. There lives a boar in yonder wood, Kimmy Quo. There lives a boar in yonder wood. Breaks your bones, drinks your blood. Darum Kimmy Quo Quo. Old Bangham Road to the wild boar's den. Darum, darum, darum. Old Bangham Road to the wild boar's den, Kimmy Quo. Old Bangham Road to the wild boar's den. Spied the bones of 100 men. Darum Kimmy Quo Quo. Old Bangham and the wild boar fought. Darum, darum, darum. Old Bangham and the wild boar fought, Kimmy Quo. Old Bangham and the wild boar fought. By set of sun, the boar was gnawed. Darum Kimmy Quo Quo. He rode back to the riverside. Darum, darum, darum. He rode back to the riverside, Kimmy Quo. He rode down to the riverside. There the lovely lady spied. Darum Kimmy Quo Quo. Fair maid, said he, will you marry me? Darum, darum, darum. Fair maid, said he, will you marry me? Kimmy Quo. Fair maid, said he, would you marry me? Yes, kind sir, we now agree. Darum Kimmy Quo Quo.
Thank you.
That was an odd choice.
That's an American song?
Yeah. Well, you see, I'm not a folk singer. Not really. I'm a second-hand folk singer.
Okay, right.
I didn't sit on my front porch in the Appalachians. I sat on the front porch over there.
And got it from all the originals.
So what I do is I cannot but add my classical education to the way I do songs. I try to get as close as I can to the original intentions, or not original, but the intentions of the people that I learned it from. But I do add an awful lot of thinking. And, you know, my father told me he could hear me thinking while I'm doing that. And he didn't mean it as a compliment. You know? Yeah, you know. I mean, I can start a run going down from way up here, down to here, down to here, down to here, down, and I know when I'm going to get down to there. And if I don't, I very quickly do it while I'm singing to put it all together. And that can lend a certain amount of, it's a little bit stultifying sometimes if I try to overthink, you know. So I'm a second-hand folk singer.
And that's valuable in that this music gets out there, so that, as Pete always said, the important thing is that people are singing it.
Yeah. Well, first I learned from records. I learned from the records my mother played while she was transcribing. And then when I went to college, I started learning from books. And when I went to England, I didn't have the records anymore. And if there's anything that I've really helped with the procreation of these songs, the spreading of these songs, is looking up all kinds of songs in books that have been put in there by a collector who collected from a live singer, put into a dead book, and then bringing it out and knowing how to bring it out of the book. You know?
Making it live
so
again.
A lot of the songs that are on the go, I mean, Pete did the same thing. I don't know that Mike did a lot of that, but we, in a way, were kind of like the neck of the hourglass. It comes in like this, and we do what we do with it, and then it's out again, and then people do with it what they want to do. It tends to come in a more, I'm looking for a word, a stark form, and then we get hold of it, and then it goes out like this, like the Dink song, which is on Inside Llewyn Davis. If I had wings like hers. I've heard a lot of people sing that in so many different ways. So in a way, the bottom of the hourglass is very big because of all the influences that we have in the media now. And there's nothing wrong with that, as long as if you play Bach's quartet on a tin whistle and a tuba and a cello and a piano, is it what he meant you to do with it? It's not Bach anymore, but
the folk process.
It's an interesting position to be in culturally.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, there's and I'm not remembering their names. Begins with a K. Gets worse as I get older too. A group of a bluegrass band originally from Central Europe come over here, and they play Bach. On bluegrass instruments, because that's how they started.
Well, I've heard a bluegrass version of The First Time Ever, and believe me, that's really something.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, you mentioned your sibs, Mike and Barbara, and
I haven't mentioned Barbara.
No, but you did mention the other.
She called herself the white sheep of the family because she didn't take to folk music.
On occasion, you guys performed together with the children's songs, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Barbara was on that too. She loved it.
Yeah. So, you all performed. Did you do that at home across the street here?
Sing all those songs? Huh. We certainly did. Songs were just. There were songs for everything. And my mother used it as a form of kind of gentle coercion. A lot of the songs. If she wanted us to, she had little things that, tell me what to wear, tell me what to wear, tell me what to wear, mommy, tell me. Well, that's a little folk song, Or when she played Cindy, Cindy meant you got to go up to bed now. That was the meaning of that song. She probably sang a bit more with Penny because she was at Green Acres with Penny. And she'd take songs there and see how they worked, and that's when she started really doing her books of children's songs.
Mm-hmm. Now, did she collect those, or they were in the library?
They were in the library.
Archive of folk songs.
She'd go along and she'd listen to them, and then she would have them put onto the big aluminum records and bring them home and transcribe them.
Okay.
But she messed with some of the songs too. The minute we get our hands on them, if that's not our the music we were brought up with, or if we have a classical influence, we can't help but mess with them. Some of the songs that are in the folk songs, the folk songs for children, she figured were probably a little bit too bloody for the little babies, and she took some of the words out. Little Maddie
Bowdlerized.
Girl. Down came a lady, down came two, down came Lord Dannel's wife, and she was dressed in blue. Well, that story is